Oh my god, they're literally running into enemy bullets. Why are they abandoning? Okay, are these guys actually wrestling? I'd rather not know the truth. Welcome to History Legends, and in this video I'll do a step-by-step analysis of Soviet trench cleaning tactics during World War II. And to show you this, I'll use a Danish World War II reenactment portraying Danish Waffen-SS. Now just to be clear, I'm not criticizing this reenactment at all. They did a great job, but let's take a look at what we can learn from it from a historical perspective. And as always, before we start, don't forget to like, hit the bell, and subscribe. And check out my unique veterans book, it's now on Amazon, link in the bio. I'm pretty excited, let's go. So these are Waffen-SS, Danish Waffen-SS, you can see it with their uniform. And here it goes. They even have an anti-tank gun. I like how much effort they put in order to create a realistic trench network. I'm going to be honest, at first I thought the SS trenches looked realistic, but after further inspection I noticed something off. The corridors are way too high and wide. We can clearly see that the trenches have been built by a machine. If we look at pictures of German trenches on the Eastern Front during World War II, they're much more narrow and smaller in size. Just enough space for one man to move through. And the defenders can even use these embrasures that are built into the trench to protect themselves when firing. Well done. So we can see the Soviets attacking in the background. Well done, I like it. The first casualties. Okay, no. Check this out. The Soviets just sent two girls forward without a gun. No weapons, just bare hand into action. Okay, this is a massive assault. Anti-tank gun, the vehicle. Instead of firing an anti-tank gun against infantry, it would have made much more sense to replace it with a mortar. Realistically, the Soviets would have not let their infantry attack like this in the open. Number one, there will always be an artillery preparation beforehand like howitzers and mortars. So instead of being surprised by a Soviet assault, the Danish soldiers would be completely stunned by an artillery barrage. Soviet shells would have destroyed machine gun nests, damaged trenches, and broken the vital telephone lines. Number two, when attacking in the open, Soviet tanks would pave the way for the infantry and coordinate with squad leaders what enemy positions to suppress. That would explain why the SS have an anti-tank gun, although it's out in the open and not protected by anything. And I think I noticed some Panzerfaust laying around, so that's well done. Number three, I mentioned it a lot in one of my previous videos, but at times the Soviets did attack with infantry alone. However, not in human waves and not during daytime, but rather by infiltrating enemy lines at night. Soviet infantrymen loved to attack in environments that the Germans were not familiar with, like thick forests, swamps, across rivers, and digging right next to the enemy. Within a few hours, you would have hundreds of Soviet soldiers dug into a German trench network. And all the Germans could do is to withdraw. Germans hated night attacks because it cancelled any mortar, artillery, or air support available to them. Even machine guns would be less effective since the crew can't see the enemy. Now the main reason why we never see these things is number one, because people don't learn about Soviet military tactics, and number two, because filming at nighttime is not easy. So you see, this is good. You have the machine gunner that changes firing position to where it's actually needed. So that's very good. And then you see the guys reloading, taking cover while doing so. Honestly, this is well done. And then you have another machine gunner that switches position. Very good. Although I think here they're a bit too put together, you know. Alright, they're too close. They should be spread out. And I don't see any NCO or commanding officer. Okay, maybe this guy. Unless they're complete noobs and it's their first time on the battlefield, Germans or their allies would immediately counterattack before hundreds of Soviet soldiers swarm their position. The reason these men act lost is because these reenactors don't even know their own trench network. Of course, they didn't build it, and they did not even bother learning it by heart. Instinctively, they all stick together, instead of spreading out and making sure every trench is free of Soviets and fully secured. If these Danish soldiers can't kick out the Soviet soldiers quickly enough, hundreds of reinforcements will get a hold of the position and flank the Danish soldiers. And another problem I see here is that where are the commanding officers? Okay, I think I saw one NCO, but where are the others? There's no organization. There's one NCO and a bunch of soldiers spread out, and they're all kind of chilling, doing whatever. You see, they're all chilling there in that one trench. They would be flanked so quickly in reality. Okay, now they seem to counterattack and move. Okay, so the chick soldier, the guys with the flag, all the stereotypes. Okay, more Soviet reinforcements. Now the World War II trench network depicted here looks amazing on cam, but it doesn't make sense. It's really meant to be attacked. The only thing missing is a welcome banner for the incoming Soviet soldiers. There's a huge open field in front of them, but the forward positions are not defended at all. Logically, this is where the machine guns would be positioned, to fully take advantage of the clear field of fire, the rate of fire, and the range of the weapon. Now, I'm not a uniform expert, so let me know in the comment section if these are accurate, if they make sense, and same thing for the weapons. So again, the Soviets are attacking. They have no weapons providing suppressive fire to them. Okay, we have an NCO directing the MG. Oh, do you see this? Okay, I'm happy to finally see some camouflage on top of this trench network. And this was to avoid being detected by Soviet aircraft. Soviet aircraft would constantly fly over German positions and pinpoint enemy strongholds. They would then provide these coordinates to the artillery that would blast them away. Now you can understand why it was super important for Axis forces to really camouflage their most important positions. Now in reality, a camouflage position like this would probably be a mortar pit or a command post. Although a command post would probably be dug in underground. Okay, they do have a machine gun position. Nice! Okay, I take back what I said. They did a good job and we see a machine gun nest. It looks good on camera, but again, it's totally useless as it is there. Useless because all the Soviet soldiers passed right in front of it without suffering any casualties. A machine gun nest is another important position you would want to cover with nets, or concealed into the terrain in any way possible. Ideally, you could even dig and put them somewhat underground for additional cover in camouflage. Okay, they're just jumping in right in front. Okay, this MG position makes more sense, but he's not firing and just chilling, okay? And the Soviets, I don't know, they attack, but they just literally run into the bullets. You see in this scene, the way the Soviets attack is completely ridiculous. They're charging bare hand or shovels or just with a pistol. So how exactly did the Soviets clear enemy trenches? What I'm about to say comes directly from Soviet stories regarding infantry doctrine collected right after World War II. Reading these stories, you learn right away that bayonets, shovels, and hand-to-hand combat was extremely rare. It clearly states that only submachine guns and grenades were actually useful in close quarters. Now in the scene, how many Soviets do you see armed with submachine guns or throwing grenades? But listen to this story. One story mentioned when one squad jumped into German trenches. They separated into 3 groups. One group of 3 men cleared the right path. Another of 4 men went to the left. And lastly, the squad leader and the 2-man light machine gun crew remained in the center on top of the trench to cover both groups. Now in this scene, they don't secure the trenches and they're never supported by any suppressive fire coming from the machine guns. But what I found interesting is that when the squad leader wanted his fire teams back, he would whistle once for group 1 and twice for group 2. Now the man telling the story says he was appointed leader of the second 4-man fire team. 2 were armed with submachine guns and 2 others with rifles. Now very important detail, 5 hand grenades were handed per person. This is what is absolutely missing from this reenactment. I get that there are no tanks, but at least use grenades. Just think about it, a Soviet squad of 10 men would have 50 grenades in theory. And to avoid any ambush or unexpected encounters with the enemy, whenever they would reach a bend in the trench or a corner, they would always throw a grenade first and then think about what to do. So the fact that the Soviets are blindly charging in is ridiculous. Unless they're also complete noobs. Okay, you see, the Germans or the Soviets would have a lot of interest in throwing grenades right there. Blocked path. Okay, now Mr. Shovel is attacking. Oh my god, they're literally running into enemy bullets. Oh. What's interesting is the way the Soviets deal with this blocked path is completely off. And there's a Soviet story that actually resembles what happened here. This is why I'm so critical of this scene, because if I did my research and found out what were they doing. From the stories I told you earlier, at one point a German light machine gun blocked their path 30 meters away. The Soviets did not charge at the guy, they waited. Then the Soviets figured out they couldn't throw grenades directly at the Germans. It was too far away. So the fire team leader ordered one of his men to jump out of the trench to flank the Germans. He did so and threw a grenade right on top of them. And it worked! They cleared the entire trench without losing a single man when the Germans lost 4. What can we learn from this? Defenders have an advantage as long as the enemy is out in the open. The moment Soviet soldiers would start to gain a significant foothold in a German trench network, realistically, German commanders would start to prepare a retreat. In another story, they also mentioned that trench clearing also involved taking prisoners, because defenders would often give up quickly once they were surrounded by attackers. And one last thing, it even mentioned how one squad leader made a terrible mistake. He forgot to inspect one of the trench branches. Some Germans were hidden there, they fired at his squad and he lost 2 men. And his superior officer reprimanded him for such a dumb mistake. Okay, last bit. Okay, this doesn't make sense. Why are they abandoning? Okay, are these guys actually wrestling? I'd rather not know the truth. Okay, I think the assault is done. Yeah, there were not enough Soviet attackers. Oh no, there's more coming. But again, you see that the Danes are kind of grouped up. Not a single grenade is thrown in these small places. This is the perfect environment for grenades. And you see they're finally going out of their trenches to flank the enemy. The Soviets could have done that. They could have done that earlier, actually. Okay, I think the battle is over. This guy is still chilling. He's been there the entire battle. Didn't move. Alright, the battle scene was excellent up to the point where Soviet soldiers just trample each other, fighting with shovels or bare hand. Then, as always, the same problem for reenactment, there's not enough people. A realistic Soviet assault would at least involve a company-sized unit, so about 100 to 120 men. With that being said, what did you think of my analysis? Did I miss anything? Do you agree, disagree? Let me know in the comment section. And if you want to know more about fighting on the Eastern Front during World War II, I recommend you my book, The Great Veterans Project. Link is in the bio.